Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Brevort and welcome back to another episode. In this one, we're going to be talking about 8 things that you can do to improve your Minecraft experience. Number 1, fire protection. You're probably well aware that water allows you to extinguish yourself if you get set on fire. However, did you know that fire protection also does the same thing, albeit at a slower pace? As you can see, with even one piece of fire protection armor, the amount of burn time is significantly diminished for fire protection armor compared to any other type of armor. However, if you go above one piece with fire protection on it, it doesn't matter. Number 2, moss in the composter. Did you know that it's a really good idea to compost moss? As you can see, bone mealing a moss block creates moss blocks out of all of the surrounding soil and stone blocks, which you can then compost and create into more moss blocks. This cycle can repeat forever until you have as much moss or bone meal as you want, only starting with one moss block and one bone meal. Number 3, shifting settings. Have you ever wanted to change your GUI scale from 3 to 2? Well, it's really annoying because when you click through it, you gotta click several times and it jumps all over the place when you do. That also happens when you want to change your particles and you want to go backwards a setting. So like from all to minimal. It's really annoying. Same thing happens when you want to change your graphics from fabulous to fancy. However, there is a simple fix. All you have to do is press shift and it'll take you backwards one setting while you click. So if you, for example, click the GUI scale from 3, but you shift click it, it goes to GUI scale 2. If you click it regularly, it takes you back to 3. Same thing happens with particles. You can go directly from all to minimal, or you can change your graphics from fabulous to fancy. Number 4, dungeon digging. Have you ever made an XP farm from a spawner you find in a dungeon only to find that it only spawns about 6 of the mob before stopping? Maybe the culprit is something called MaxNearbyEntities. This is an NBT tag which is by default set to 6 entities. That means that whatever type of spawner it is, only 6 of that mob can spawn before that spawner will stop. However, there is a way to bypass it, which is by moving the mobs at least a certain distance away. The best way to do this is creating your collection system or anywhere the mobs go into immediately, having them go at least 6 blocks away. This can be easily done by dropping the mobs down 6 blocks right away when building your spawner farms. Then also not having the collection system very close to the spawner. However, you do want it within 16 blocks, so that way the spawner's still active. TLDR, just drop the mobs at least 6 blocks into a water source to move them to your grinding system. This allows those mobs to not interfere with your spawn potentials and still being able to get the maximum rates from your farm, and also rarely ever interferes with the design of the farm unless your farm is at like Y10. Number 5, Elytra double jump. The potion of leaping or the jump boost status effect isn't the most useful one in the game. In fact, even the stronger variety, the jump boost 2 potion or beacon, only allows you to jump 2.5 blocks. Anything higher than that is simply not doable. Or is it? If you set up a structure like this, which is 4 blocks tall, it is actually possible to jump right on top of it. In fact, you can jump over 4 blocks with jump boost 2, albeit not under normal circumstances. If you get a running jump and have an Elytra equipped, it is possible to jump more than 4 blocks with the jump boost 2 effect. However, it is difficult to reproduce, as you can see. Number 6, weapon enchantments. If you're like most people, you enchant your weapons with sharpness. After all, it does do the most damage to the most mobs in the game. In fact, out of the 4 base mobs, you can kill each of them in 1 critical hit and 1 sweeping hit. But that might not be the ideal enchantment. In fact, if you specialize your enchantments with Bane of Arthropods and Smite, it is now possible to one-hit 3/4 of the mobs in the game without even doing a critical hit. The only one you're not able to is Creeper. You're also able to one-hit zombified piglins without angering the rest of them if you're in Java Edition. With Sharpness 5, you simply can't do that even with a netherite sword, and you'll probably end up having a not-so-great fate. Number 7, scaffoldings as a fuel source. There are a lot of things that can be used as fuel in Minecraft, but unless you live in a bamboo forest, it might not be intuitive to use bamboo as a fuel source. and maybe with good reason. In fact, it only does smelt 1/4 of an item per bamboo. However, it does grow pretty fast, making it an okay fuel source. However, if you craft that bamboo into scaffoldings, which you can do at a 1-to-1 ratio, you can make it into a 6 times better of a fuel source. Or if you're on Bedrock Edition, a whopping 24 times better fuel source. With that knowledge, I don't know why anyone doesn't use scaffoldings as a fuel source. Before we move on to number 8, I want to say that you've made it through a large part of this video, and because of that, you've probably enjoyed it. So maybe consider hitting the like button, and while you're down there, consider subscribing. It's completely free and only requires a button press on your part, but it means much more to the rest of the viewers on this channel and me. You can always change your mind later, so I definitely think you should try it out. Number 8. White dye from moss. White dye can be pretty hard to get, especially if you're playing on peaceful difficulty. In fact, most of the white flowers in the game, for some reason, give light gray dye. While this kind of makes sense, what really doesn't make sense is that you can actually get white dye from a lot of other sources. For example, seeds. If you use it in a composter, you can get bone meal, which you can then convert into white dye. This also means that you don't have to be on any difficulty other than peaceful in order to get this white dye. And you can also use moss to infinitely farm that bone meal to get more white dye, just like we've talked about earlier in the video. This is a really great way to get white dye, and I've actually used it in the past, back when I used to play on peaceful difficulties. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, and I want to hear from you. Have you enjoyed this video? Let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. Have you learned anything new? Definitely let me know your thoughts on this video, because I really want to see if I should make more videos like this, as this isn't really in my usual style, but I'm really interested in making more videos like this. However, this one took an extremely long time to record and edit because I kept slipping up, but that might have been my lack of sleep and lack of caffeine, because I'm also a caffeine addict. Anyway, enough about me. Please let me know your feedback down in the comments, which I guess is about me, so I guess it's more about me, but you know. Let me know down in the comments. Thank you for watching. Calcium Capulus Modum Tardum. Take care, and goodbye.